go with Darkness Crystal. I really love seeing what people do with the Darkness Crystal opening.
That opens up options aplenty. It also opens up another character spot. We've got Edwards. And look who's waiting for us.
Ooh, that's an interesting spot for Golbez. So we know for 100% fact that the Baron Key cannot be blocking any underground access because Golbez is blocking the key item blocked by the Baron Key. We immediately know that right off the bat. So if we get the Baron Key anywhere, we know, okay, we don't have to turn in the Baron Key because we're not going to be forced to go through Golbez to try and get anywhere else.
Well, not to the subworld, but that could still block the Darkness Crystal, right?
Oh, absolutely. It could still definitely block the Darkness Crystal.
And the pass as well, which is one of the in the key item pool. Put it that way.
So it looks like everybody's making the Baron dip. It's not a bad play. You get a decent amount of items, and you get a nice little peek at who's at the Baron Inn, which happens to be Cecil, and the first boss is Ashura.
All right, so you're very much a veteran runner. What does that tell you? How fast would you be wanting to go back as we just find one of the perfect weapons to fight Asura with?
Oh man, knowing that Ashura is right there, you can bet I'm going to try and take a quick dip in there and take a look, especially since I have somebody that can use a weapon to take down Ashura. That's going to be a relatively quick fight to go through, and it gives me a quick peek at who the second boss is. And if I can get through that second boss by just standing there, that's a free character and a free key item right there.
That is a very interesting point, and the equipment has been pretty decent here to start. You've got the power shirt or robe or whatever we want to call that for Yang. Help his damage output.
We see dipwood here going to Mist. The really only attractiveness to Mist is the amount of items that are there. It doesn't have an item shop, and the armor and weapon shops are still relatively low, especially on S2. S2 is not going to really have much availability for weapons or armor or anything like that.
Yeah, there's still usefulness out there, though. Dancing
absolutely
comes to mind as one that can definitely be of help.
Oh, absolutely. I just without an item shop, Mist is kind of usually on people's back burner just because there's no chance for finding sirens or coffins or hourglasses or any of the ZGA items that a lot of people aren't used to using.
So where are they more likely to find those J items in these flags?
Well, the first place would happen to be where Silver is going right now. Troy happens to have 2 item shops that we can actually hit up. One in the traditional item shop location, and 2 is where the pass is actually sold in vanilla. There's a lady in the little, I don't know, what do you want to call this, a tavern?
Yeah, sure, we can call it that. Life Potions is a welcome sight.
And Hourglass 3s, which is even more welcome.
We can go to Tower of Zat, but nothing to be gained from doing that at the moment. Difference in flags, though. If it were K3, it could be an early play for you.
Oh, absolutely. I do like ScratchDragon's play here. These are 9 quick items that we can grab. I'd like it a little bit more if we had an exit or somebody that knew exit, just because you lose a little bit of time on the walkout. But definitely some okay items in there. I saw Dragoon Shield. It would be very helpful if we find Cecil or Kane or Sid even in the next couple minutes. But we do know where Cecil's at.
Looks like sirens were for sale here in Kaipo. That is a very interesting place for them to be for sale. Because that may not be a place that everyone gets to.
Yeah, exactly. I honestly forget about Kaipo like 90% of the time unless I find a sand ruby or something. I'm like, oh, I can go check this place. And I'm like, oh, sirens were here the whole time. That sucks.
Chat discussing that Dark Knight Cecil is our clone. Do you want to explain what they're referring to?
So with the flags C. These are C1, correct? Yes, C1. With C1, we have I think it's 13 character slots with 12 available characters. So there's going to be one duplicate in total, and that can be really any character, which happens to be Cecil.
I think I actually meant to say the no free lunch flag there.
Yes, thank you. No free lunch. Yes. my brain's all over the place right now. It's a lot of streams to watch.
This is true. A lot of action. It comes fast and furious, but nobody has made a move towards another party member or key item yet.
It looks like
the easiest locations they can get to are Antlion Cave. And is that a trip up mountain? No, that is going for Pebble Mountains for Sylverfyre.
Yeah. Ooh, Porm and Demist. Oh wow. This is an interesting position to be in.
So what we're looking at is the Demist, and that means we have access to another key item once the mist goes down. Also, a White Mage isn't a bad showing either.
White Mage is always a good find, whether it's Porum, even Tella. Using him as a white mage proves to be very useful later on.
I know I saw at least one of the runners sell the Silence staff before they came here. That might be something they regret a little bit since we haven't found a lot of weapons.
I actually like the idea of selling the Silent Staff because it does sell for a fair amount, and especially if you're item hunting and you happen to find some items that you like and you don't have enough money to buy them, selling off Silent Staff or a copy of an item here, actually I feel is a really good play.
Now Sylverfyre did a reset to get set up better for that, so let's let dipwood take down the Demist first. Oh, Star Veil's for sale. Where was this at for Dusty? That is Mysidia.
So we have Sirens in Kaipo, Star Veils in Mysidia, and we have exits in Sylverfyre, which I was gonna touch on, but there's a whole bunch going on. I'm curious as to see if dipwood's gonna go right to check Demist. Well, we're gonna stop at Outline here, which is definitely a good call.
And so that is the first location that we knew would have a key item. I'm sorry, we don't know that because this isn't K1. Being K2, it's an item location. So anytime I mix that up, just read between the lines. I'm implying it's a location for a key item.
Looks like Scratch is having a little bit of trouble with Zemus Dragon, but ends up getting through by using that vampire on the very end there.
Well done, and you've got a White Mage for your trouble.
Ooh, and we find a coffin in the Vanilla Life chest in Antlion Cave. That's can be quite useful, especially if we run into a boss that's not quite a boss, such as like the Fooble Gauntlet, the Dark Imps. Man, there's a few of them.
Or sometimes you're just in the subworld and you could use an extra level.
That as well, and that's really good, especially if none of the shops are selling coffins, and we know where sirens are at. So if we happen to find Magma Key really early, I'd expect somebody to go do a quick level grind just to make some bosses a little bit easier.
Found my hype sword that I predicted we were going to start the game with. Drain Sword is something you might want to hold on to, even though it's on face value pretty low value, but it sets up agility manipulation for Cecil. Oh. Hi, Wyvern!
And we have Wyvern at Outline. Another thing with K2 is that Wyvern actually can't be blocking. Wyvern and Golbez can't be blocking underground travel, so we won't see Hook or Magma Key here.
And good thing you had that Moonveil in reserve. Crystal Ring for your trouble.
And crystal ring is actually the crystal ring armlet. People call it different things. I call it the crystal ring. It adds +5 to agility, and it is very high defensive, both magic and physical defense. It is the best ring / armlet in the game, and it is very useful.
Gaia pickup, as Dusty has explored some of these oft-overlooked treasures. Everybody's kind of following a similar path right now. Not too much divergence, except maybe a couple shops.
I expect to see a split here, either whatever item we find at Rydia's mom or right after Fabul. We'll probably see people split and go up ordeals or to Baron Inn, or if we find something here, we'll probably see a separation of paths as well.
Question in chat, basically, what are key items? So the key items are on the tracker that you can see. Like we just found the Baron key, which we know leads to Golbez, so that can't be our access to the subworld. If you can logic as fast as Couch can, because he called that in the opening sequence.
It takes a little bit of experience, and it comes with time trying to get everything to process in your brain properly. Some people pick it up really quick, and others it takes a little bit of time because there's a lot that you kind of got to think about. Like, hey, I can't go here because this will be here. I feel I'm bad at explaining things sometimes.
Well, for example, you point out that it can't be either the hook or magma key. There has to be some path to the subworld that doesn't involve Golbez. But that Baron key also opens up 2 item locations in the King and also the Odin fight. So the crystal could still potentially be there. There's also a character spot, which we know is a non-duplicate because we've already seen 2 Dark Knight Cecils.
Exactly. Dipwood running into the Dark Imps and using a life potion on the fallen Dark Imp that they used a coffin on. What that does is it basically, in this game, what happens when a monster dies and you use a life potion on it, it brings it back to life, but all enemies in this game have 0 vitality. So the life potion brings it back to life, and then since it has 0 vitality, it dies immediately after that. So you kind of get double experience for that monster.
And if you're really good on your setup, there's ways to get 2 of them, so it's like a 3-for-1.
Absolutely.
Fortunately, not getting any experience on the White Mage, which is something you definitely want to get those early spells, the whole life and heal and exit. The hook!
Oh.
Get the defending Fabul.
Now the hook is a very interesting item. It kind of poses you in a situation. Do you immediately just dip into Eblon Cave and try to go through the hook, or do you dip into Eblon Cave and grab the character and come back out and go do other places, or do you kind of just avoid the hook all around until you find out what's on ordeals or behind Baron?
Different runners approach it different ways. They will prioritize different things. First of all, when I look at the bosses we've already checked off here, Golbez is gone, Wyvern is gone, Sura is gone. What's going to be on ordeals that really scares me right now? The list is shorter than normal.
Oh yeah, exactly.
The other thing is I personally, in my routing, like to clear the overworld before going to the subworld to make sure I'm not leaving something at risk for getting it later. On the other hand, I know runners who take the approach of, hey, that's 3 bosses for 1 spot. Why am I going to waste time on that right now?
I do want to point out the sorcerer robes and tiara that were just thrown on Porum. That actually makes her extremely durable early game. It raises her magic defense a fair amount with the sorcerer robes, and the tiara raises her magic and physical defense a fair amount as well.
Got a lot of friendly and familiar faces checking things out here in chat tonight. Of course, I'm involved with the Final Fantasy 1 randomizer, so is Sylverfyre. and a few of the community has shown up. I assume to show some support for Sylverfyre. But just kind of a quick overview of what the randomizer is doing. Obviously, you can see we've shuffled treasures. Actually, we've randomized, not shuffled. So you don't necessarily have a 1-to-1 ratio of what's in the vanilla game versus what's in a randomized game. We've got bosses in different places. They scale to the locations. And most importantly, we have to find enough of the key items to be able to beat the game.
I do see a comment in chat about Edward being useful. Edward is surprisingly versatile and can be extremely useful if you know his tricks. There's a few bosses that you can really cheese with Edward if you have him, and he can actually be quite the physical attacker, just due to his speed and his equipment. Like, you can throw some decent equipment on him and get him in the back row with a bow. He can be a very good physical attacker for you.
Good point has come up in chat we should probably raise. Hosting has been a little bit of an issue for Boardface, who's done a terrific job with everything. So a new domain was launched today to host the Free Enterprise Randomizer, and I've just shared that link in the chat. Of course, you can join us on the Discord to keep up to date with everything, including get links to the proper website.
It looks like Scratch is going to Damsian to grab the hovercraft. He didn't earlier, so I'm assuming that they're probably going to go check out the Eblon Cave and take a sneak peek at who the character is.
Well, I can't think of any reason you'd only take a peek because you don't have to fight a boss to get them.
That's very true. But
So-
if it's some people will see like Tella and go like, I have a white mage, I really don't need him. Especially since they haven't done ordeals yet, maybe they'll go do ordeals and come back later.
Yeah, so the other thing this will open up is they get these item locked shops. You can't get to these shops without having the hook. And anytime you have that with S2, it means it's more likely to have the higher quality stuff. Now, it's not going to sell you everything under the sun. You're not going to come in here and find adamants for sale.
But that could open up Cure 3s or a whole bunch of variety of higher tier items than what you would usually find in a town like, say, Kaipo. And there we saw dancing daggers for sale in the weapon shop, which are very useful in combat. They can be used as a item if you move up to your hand to where it's equipped, and it does a variable amount of damage based on the enemy's magic defense.
I didn't see dipwood check the armor side, which surprised me a little bit. Even if you aren't going to find great stuff, there's still very good stuff, like strength rings that you may want to pick up.
You may ask yourself, why isn't dipwood opening any of these chests? Okay, so we see Sid there, but he's not opening any chests because there's exactly one trapped chest in Eblon Cave, and it's 2 stale men, which can be proved to be very formidable. Not too bad since we do have hourglasses, but usually people wait to check them on the way out so they can reset scum if they don't feel like fighting them.
Well, Sid is a nice addition to the party, especially when that party does not have Cecil, but Magus Sisters is who we just learned is going to be at the Rubicon spot. Maybe that gives you more priority to check ordeals first, just to be sure.
And it can still also check the Baron Inn spot as well, which also kind of incentivizes me to go do ordeals as well. Dark Knight Cecil, I mean, even in vanilla, he's relatively useless. But once he gets upgraded to Paladin, he can be quite the damage dealer.
Especially the bigger the weapon you can find for him. I think Drain Sword is the best we've seen for him right now. which is not bad for mid-game. It wouldn't be a great end-game weapon.
And Sid being decked out in samurai gear, that will raise his physical defense quite a bit. Ooh, and Dipwood opening the Baron key door, so maybe we'll see him go to Baron Castle.
Again, this is an item-locked location, so the level of what's for sale there should be a little bit higher. There's our Staleman.
All right. So with the Staleman chest, an interesting thing is we can basically get an adamant armor from this fight if it happens to be in the item pool that the chests pull from. The way trap chests work in this randomizer is they pull from, I want to say, the rare and ultra rare pool. I'm maybe incorrect on this one. Somebody in chat can feel free to correct me. But they do pull. I do know that they pull from the ultra rare pool, which means we can find a crystal sword in the chest. We can find adamant armor. We can find something extremely useful.
Yeah, speaking of things that are useful, silk webs for sale. Where Dusty is. If the J items are new to you, don't get overwhelmed by them. You'll learn more about them with time, but just a little bit of practice, and you start getting used to using certain ones more than others. Silk webs are great for basically being a double slow spell.
So we do have Dipwood making the play at Baron Castle, which we know it's the magma key cannot be behind Golbez, so it won't be in either of the any of the possible item slots, just due to Golbez blocking both of them. But we do know that this does move Golbez out of the way, as well as Wyvern. So I mean that's a good thing, knowing that we can't run into them anywhere else.
A good point in chat. We have access to the subworld via the hook, so Magma Key here is on the table.
Okay, fair enough. I definitely have completely forgotten about the hook for some reason.
This is why you use trackers.
This is true.
Like this one, which Randomania developed this, and we've been using it for the Magus tournament. But Scala Kitty did a great job on the graphics for this.
So you noticed Yang didn't actually get hit by the hold gas there on Golbez. The crystal ring actually prevents that, and it is very smart to put it on a character who you want to survive, especially in this fight. Unfortunately, he gets demolished.
If it's Kane, you can get a jump off more likely, but unfortunately, just nothing that will work against that demolish except adamant or ribbons. Both of which will block it.
And Inven bringing up a very good point. There was a seed previously where I believe it was the Invitational, where the hook was on the overworld and the magma key just happened to be behind Odin.
So the wall strat's pretty powerful with Golbez. He'll basically do all the damage, but that's not gonna quite be enough to beat him, is it?
Unfortunately, it won't be. But having that star veil is star veils are very important.
I was setting you up. What do they have to do? After Golbez does enough damage, you do have to actually hit him once to be able to win the fight. So that's why Sid is attacking.
And you did see the Earth Hammer doing a very large amount of damage to Golbez there, a little bit more than you would normally see. Golbez is weak to fire, and the Earth Hammer just happens to do fire damage for some reason.
Well, of course. Why wouldn't it?
I don't know.
Do you go back to Cecil's room right now to get the heal?
I personally would. It's a free quick heal, and it doesn't hurt too much. In the first slot, we have Bahamut on ordeals.
Because why wouldn't we?
Yeah.
This is a save for bosses.
And it looks like Cecil, Dark Knight Cecil, is in the Yang spot, which is pretty easy if we can survive 3 dark waves in a row.
That's where you're glad you have Sid with his high HP.
Looks like Dusty is through, so Dusty's going to pick up Dark Knight Cecil and a possible key item, which I'm curious as to see what's going to pop up here.
I don't know if this play on Dipwood's side was for getting the safe spot as well. Twin Harp. Yay.
Twin Harp is could lead to a very long rabbit hole.
So Dipwood may have come here to get the save point as well, which wouldn't be a bad idea after Gomez. Used a cabin here instead of the free heal. Not much difference.
I do like the play of going back and saving, because it saves you from running into a boss that's just going to annihilate you and having to redo Golbez over again. It may cost you a little bit of time, but it is definitely worth it in the long run.
Viken is the back attack boss taking the place of Mylon Z. This is quite the set of early bosses.
This means it means a lot for the moon bosses if we have to go to the moon. Could end up with some relatively easy ones.
Taking the place of the king looks like the Baron Guards.
Either the Baron Guards or the Soldier General fight. But it does happen to be the Baron Guards. Fun fact, the Mute Dagger is good in this fight because these guards are considered mages.
Which also means stuff like Rune Axe will do well, and they're very vulnerable to status effects, which is why Dipwood's making the decision to use Coffin.
And Dipwood snagging some more EXP from doing the Coffin and then a life one directly on the one that was just killed.
And that'll help you a lot when you don't have to take time out to actually grind anywhere, if it's just a question of using a life in a fight. That could be a time save.
Scratch getting the Earth Crystal from Mount Ordeals. That is a very, very good find. That unlocks 2 characters and a possible key item as well.
Also, Rosa will learn Exit.
Rosa will learn Exit. Oh man, I can't remember the other 2 spells. But Rosa does in fact have 3 spells locked at that position. Dipwood through, and we see, oh my gosh, Fusoya. That is a great find.
It is, but also a good time to mention that the F2 flag you see in that string means this is Fusoya Challenge 2. So he picks up 3 spells at a time. It'll be very interesting to see what he's starting with, but he's taken out enough bosses that he's bound to have something useful.
If Fu doesn't happen to have Quake or Nuke or something, I expect to see maybe a Mist Dragon vanilla spot check, just because it's a quick, easy boss, and then probably an Ordeals dip, because that's 3 quick spots that we've seen. He may not know. That's 3 quick spots that we've seen that can unlock some more spells.
And the Adamant is our item where the Enterprise would normally be. Let's give us a check. I see Toad, I see Stone, which would be great on the moon, but not so much here. We've got Exit, Life 1, Heal.
Not a lot of great options.
But that means one more boss, and you're very likely to unlock something good.
Oh, I agree. So it looks like Overworld is still a lot in play. We have the Twin Harp, we have the Earth Crystal. Curious to see if they're gonna take their key items, go turn them in.
Adamant means we're halfway to an Excalibur, which so far would be the best Cecil weapon we've seen. He's been a little lacking on that front so far.
Oh yeah, having a Paladin Cecil is good, only if you have the equipment for him. If you don't have much for him, he's kind of dead weight.
Looks like there's an ice brand in ScratchDragon's inventory. That wouldn't be bad. Not what you'd want for final boss, but...
Oh yeah. Keep eyeing that dragon whip that's in Scratch's inventory. I'm wondering if we're going to run across Rydia at all anywhere.
The trouble with that is really no summons picked up so far. The earlier you pick up a summon, the better. Thanks to all the wonderful viewers who are doing the double stream hype. We do have another league race that started after us. A lot of chat is telling us they're keeping both up.
So Scratch is making the Baron in play, which is really smart since he's already done ordeals, and that they gonna find. Wait, what was it the Baron in? I've already forgotten.
Earth Crystal?
Earth Crystal was ordeals.
Okay. Adamant was the Enterprise location. So I don't think we got a key item. Oh, Twin Heart.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I'll buy that for $1. This is what I get for not writing it all down. I'm gonna have to get myself a dry erase board just to keep it handy for when I move stuff.
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
I haven't built my own tracker for this yet. I usually build my own commentary trackers, so I keep things in the order that I want to, but I haven't.
This Bygones fight is going to be really free for Dipwood since he does have Quake with Fusoya. Should be over right now.
And there you go.
Quake is extremely strong, especially early on. It is multi-targeting. It does puncture through wall, so if you happen to have a boss that has a wall up, it does that, and its spell power is relatively high.
And did you catch what flashed across as a learned spell there?
I did not.
Meteo.
Oh my. That's could be very useful. A lot stronger than Quake. The only downfall to Meteo is cast time is very long compared to Quake or Nuke or Virus.
Yeah. Still a couple spots with the walls where it can do a lot of good, and we happen to know that the Magus Sisters are in the Rubicon spot. We still don't know whether or not that's required.
Yeah, definitely. And that would be a very good spell, as long as Fusoya can survive getting hit by a reflected spell or not.
He's going to level up that HP the more bosses that you defeat as well with the F2 flags. So he's already got the highest HP we have, and Dipwood's just going to keep adding to it the more bosses we defeat.
And with another thing about the Magus Sisters is if they keep getting recovered, that would be an okay grindish spot as well. If we have some MP healing stuff, 2 Meteos should take out Cindy, the one in the middle. But 1 Meteo will probably take out Mindy and Sandy. And if you allow Cindy some time to bring up the other 2, that would be some more experience. And that is a very high experience slot that we could try and milk a little bit more out of.
Pretty good treasures that the Earth Crystal protects here in Kaipo's. Kaipo. Whatever. Toria.
Toria, yeah. That's another thing that I do love about seeing the Earth Crystal really early is that is a lot of treasure chests that you can hit up like right away, one after the other.
Twin Heart Baron in item. Sylverfyre picks that up. How long till somebody serenades us?
I'm excited to see some music here. Hopefully somebody takes the dive down there.
The other interesting question would be, do they all take this play and find Fasoya on the other end? So far it looks to be the case. ScratchDragon didn't make the dip to the Odin spot to see what was there. I can kind of understand that, because usually you're not going to be able to beat that boss at this low level, but sometimes it's water hack.
Yeah, exactly. Looks like we have Ruby in the Magus Sisters slot. Not too bad of a fight, but knowing we have an Ice Brand on Cecil, it will be pretty easy.
They traded jobs for the day.
Oh, they did. Fair point.
I love this. Zerk strats for this fight. Good call.
Oh, and Nightdew brings up the Scratch never turned in the Mist Dragon spot, so he does not have the Baron key.
Is it a case where Scratch doesn't remember doing that?
That could very well be the case.
It almost came by too fast.
Looks like strength rings found by Silver in the armor shop at Baron. That is a very good find, especially since we haven't seen any Zeus gauntlets yet. It's definitely going to make the Ruby spot a little bit easier if Silver decides to go there, but it looks like we're getting the Baron dip.
Yeah, nothing wrong with doing that while you're in the area. The other thing I will say on ScratchDragon's side is, with the Earth Crystal, you're going to be in that area. Well, you are in the area. You're actually going to go further away, but yeah, this will take you from here to Baron when you're done, so it'd be a pretty close check after that.
Oh yeah, that is one play. That is one thing I try to do when I have similar items. Like in this situation, I probably would have gone and done Twin Harp and then Earth Crystal, and then Baron, just because it kind of just leads to one another. Try and route in items as you go along.
When we were warming up, I did neglect to mention one important thing, though. ScratchDragon is actually pulling double duty tonight. This is their second race of the league. They did one earlier tonight and actually came out the winner of that. So, pulling double duty. That can also present challenges, though, because it can tease you in your mind. What did you do and at what time?
Definitely. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, what was in the last seed versus what was in this seed.
Yeah, I was gonna say that running back-to-back seeds is something I'm very familiar with, especially in tournament setting, and it can be quite rough. Things start kind of blending together. You're tired from the one before, especially if it was like a really in-depth seed where you had to be like, oh, I'm constantly like thinking, okay, what's my next step, or how do I beat this boss? Just kind of things start to mesh together and you kind of forget. But mad props to ScratchDragon, who is putting on a great show, definitely.
Right, here's Tella, who is armed with all his spells. You taking him over Edward?
I would definitely take Tella over Edward, especially since he has all of his spells unlocked right now.
Let's find out who else is here. How difficult will the choices be?
And Palom. This makes for a very interesting decision choice. Are we going to see the Palom take or the Tella take?
I think I've got to have the Black Magic. Tella has Virus, which can be okay in place of Quake. Gonna dismiss Sid. I can kind of understand that if you have Cecil, but you don't bring both, and then Tella's kind of the marginal one at this point.
I can definitely understand the play. The only issue really with ditching Sid is you do kind of lose your tank. I mean, you have Yang already. the thing is, Yank can't really equip some of the heavy gear like the samurai gear that was just equipped on Sid.
I think we'd have seen a different play if ScratchDragon had picked up Tella already.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, not Tella. I meant Fasoya.
And we see Dusty finally picking up Fu, and Dipwood making the Twin Harp play, which is very exciting. I'm always excited to see the Twin Harp come into play, especially if it's going to be holding something.
Oh, and there's the Water Hag taking place of Oval Stomach.
Oh, that's really good news. That spot can have some very difficult bosses, especially early on. Like Mom Bomb is a really tough one in that slot.
There's a question in chat, how are the runners doing relative to each other? It's kind of an interesting question. Right now, ScratchDragon is covering the different ground. We know that the Baron play didn't lead to what you might call an important item. It only led to the Adamant. Baron Inn did lead to the Twin Harp, which could be something. But it also led to Fasoya, which could be an important character. But let's hear what the song is, and then I'll pick up this explanation on the other side.
If I had to put my opinion on it, I would probably say Dipwood is in the lead by maybe a key item. That's about it.
Oh, also I love it. Dusty's doing the Odin check.
The Odin check is very awesome, and I can't wait to see who it is. Ooh, very nice. I do love some Twin Harp music.
Little FF6. Tower of Zod was not a key item, it was a spear, and Odin turns out to be the Kalbrana.
Ooh, that could actually be a quite easy slot, especially since Fu has Quake. And we do have hourglasses as well.
Might have Meteor as well, because Dusty already did other fights.
Yeah, that's a good point as well.
Yeah, he does. Meteor might one-shot them, actually.
I think it'll be pretty quick, just due to the Zeus rages and then the quick Quake that's going to come off here. And we don't have to worry about them transforming, since we did use an hourglass on the cows.
Very well done.
Very good fight from Dusty. Quite excited to see what the item is here.
So runners in 3 different places, nice to cover a lot. That's the Drain Spear.
Just a Drain Spear. And about to find out what the Twin Harp item is. A lot of items coming up really quick. And Scratch is actually making the Tower of Babel play. So
Luca key. So that's interesting, because if you're going to have to take the Subworld Dive now, that's one more option available that not everybody is going to have that option right now.
And with all of the items exhausted, we have ourselves a hook seed.
Excuse me just 1 minute.
So Scratch fighting the Mad Ogres here. So it's the same chest that's in the Eblon Castle, except for there's 4 of them instead of 3 of them. Looks like Cecil has the rune axe on. Does 4 times damage to mage types, and Mad Ogres just happen to be mage types, even though they don't cast any spells. One way to get through this fight is to use hourglasses. If you don't happen to have hourglasses, you can actually charm the Mad Ogres and have them attack themselves.
The size spell also works. You won't take any damage from them.
The size spell is another fun one to do. Do not try to cast any magic on them, though, unless it's All other spells will end up doing 1. And it looks like we found heroin robes in that chest. I think I already saw a pair of those, a set of those. I don't remember where they were picked up at, but I have seen them earlier.
Yeah, we've run into them in some treasures along the way. Also interesting to see ScratchDragon taking the lives against those mad ogres, and those little optimizations can definitely make a difference when you're coming in against a big boss here like this.
A cat claw in a chest is very, very good. No, there was an Odin check. It was ended up being the dolls for a drain spear, Rivers.
But it was not a check that everybody made. Dusty made that one alone, so for other runners, they may have to double back there later when they're looking for crystal.
Which would kind of actually people would probably forget about it as well. That is one of those spots where you're like, oh, okay, I've already done Baron, but did I do all of Baron? Do I have to go back and check?
I'm not one who races too often, but it's a situation for me where even though casually I'll run without a tracker now, even if I'm doing K3, if I'm doing a race, I'm going to get that extra security. I'm going to have something just to check off the spots I've been to.
Oh, absolutely. That's a very smart strategy as well. Silver through the Ruby fight. A quick Ice 3 from Fusoya kind of just makes that fight a breeze.
And that's another good point. Scratch also did not check the Mist Dragon spots, so looks like Scratch did forget that at this point. And that could just be a byproduct of playing the two seeds that close together.
And we have Plague, King, Queen, Eblon. This could be rough if we can't, especially since we don't have a. I mean, we do have Telly who has a virus, which could knock somebody out really quick. But looks like Scratch is gonna try and force his way through it.
But for the other runners who had that Baron Key and have Soya, coming in here with Nuke is going to be a very different story.
Oh yeah, it'll make this fight a breeze versus trying to brute force the way through it like Scratch is going to have to do here.
So we know at this point that the hook was required. We have to go through here to get to the subworld. What could be an interesting little asterisk is only one runner has picked up the Luca key so far.
Oh, that is a very, very good point.
Well, I apologize. It's actually 2.
All right, and Scratch through doing the timer stall just by holding A. It works in some spots, doesn't work in other spots. You can get repeated attacks off if you get lucky and happen to hold down A with the right setup. And the timer will actually never kill you on count. It is very location dependent and party dependent as well.
I think that's how I got lucky and beat Plague the first time I ever fought it. Like, what else am I going to do? Alright, here come the Magus Sisters.
It's when you set the controller on top of your A button and just walk away.
So this is an interesting fight for ScratchDragon. Is Porum high enough level to have Quake yet?
I don't think Palom is high enough.
Okay.
I think Palom needs...
The twin with the orange cape.
Yeah, I think Palom needs... Just judging by HP, I think Palom needs a couple more levels.
Boy, if it was close, I'd turn the encounters on. I'd get it.
Oh, especially in Upper Babel here, it makes it quite easy. And another thing that, if we did have glitches on, having telecast Meteor by underflowing MP would be a very good strategy. Okay, Palom does have enough for Quake. That's good.
Outstanding. Actually, we did get a Soma drop, I think, so we could have Meteor Tella without glitches, but you'd have to spend some drop on Tella.
Yeah. Alright. Dipwood getting through the water hag, no problem. 3 quick attacks, and the battle script ends it.
Is he
Curious.
trying to... I'm not sure if he wanted to berserk Yang or was trying to reflect that onto one of the sisters.
That's a good question.
Either way is interesting, at least.
Absolutely. And Silver accidentally picking up a yellow chocobo instead of a black chocobo. This forest is a lot easier now that we can dash everywhere. In vanilla, trying to catch a black chocobo is like trying to nail Jello to a wall. And the pew pew
Put the
spear
Jello in a
was
Ziploc bag first.
the pew pew spear was dropped in the earth crystal key items, or the item slot.
Yeah, that was hard to keep up with. At one time, we had the harp going on, we had an Odin check going on, and we had Zot being cleared.
So it looks like Scratch is having maybe a tiny bit of issue with the fight, but nothing too bad right now. Knocks out Mindy, but gets recalled by Cindy there.
As long as you're able to keep Palom up and keep the quakes coming, you're in pretty good shape.
Yeah,
Maybe
absolutely.
be a Gaia drum. Maybe that got used already.
I do believe Scratch has already spammed all the J items that Scratch has.
And not all will pierce the wall, but Gaia drum certainly will.
And Dipwood getting NPC blocked trying to leave Toroya there. That NPC can be quite mean sometimes. She can spend... I've ran into her spending quite a while in that, walking up and down in the same spot over and over.
So well known that this is about a 25,000 HP spot. It is divided among the 3 sisters, but Cindy gets the bulk of it. I'm probably talking, I don't know, 14 to 18,000.
I'm gonna guess around maybe 4 or 5 more. There's been quite a few quakes have gone off, and it's been in the fight for quite a while.
There we go.
And Dipwood making the play through the hook. Dipwood should have a lot less issues with this fight than Scratch did.
Yeah, a different setup is just gonna go so much better.
And getting Cyan's theme again from Silver now. I personally enjoy this theme from Final Fantasy VI. It's relaxing.
You know what? That's the only spot in the game where I want the Fabulous Gauntlet. But okay, I'm willing to spend a little bit of time here. Especially for one of the great songs.
Oh, it's really bad when you get a song that you really, really want to hear and it ends up being Golbez.
So again, that's one of the great little extras that is in this free enterprise randomizer. If you haven't checked it out yet, highly worthwhile. There's going to be a lot more of the League action here going on through Randomania, through RPG Limit Break, and best bet is to join us in the Discord.
And Dusty about to be through this water hag fight right quick. They'll pick up the pew pew spear as well. And Scratch being through, getting the Falcon, and I'm curious to see where Scratch is going to go first. I wonder if we'll see the Feymark play, or if we'll see the dip right into Sylph Cave to talk to Yang, or if we'll see something completely different.
Well, if you get the Luca key, the case I can make for that is you can get all of your quote-unquote grinding done on those trap doors. Personally, I do like going to summon monsters because not only do I get the chest, I can look at who those 2 bosses are, and I can see what's in the shops.
So Scratch remembering that they've already killed Derek Mist. Gonna find the Baron key. I'm thinking maybe Scratch will make the play to Baron. Thinking maybe, oh, they already found this. Did I miss something?
Well, the good news is that'll give you Vasoya. The bad news is you were on a better progress train for getting the crystal before you came here.
Yeah. And dipwood going with Berserk strats for the sisters fight. Assuming we're gonna see Quakes from Fu instead of the Meteos. Scratch not going to Baron, dipping down into Feymark. I like this play because it's a really free, quick item check. Whether if we happen to find the pan here, that would be even better because that opens up 3 items that we can get right away from turning in the pan and then talking to Yang's wife twice. That will give us 2 more. But without the pan, dipping Sylph is kind of a risky play. As in, you're gonna have to double dip eventually.
This is one of the interesting little facets of the randomizer, particularly the E3 flag, which lets us toggle the encounters on and off. Those long slog dungeons of Slith Cave and summon monsters just go by in a breeze when you don't have to worry about the damage you're taking.
When we find coffins, that means I expect to be seeing some omelets being made.
Yeah, it's a nice find. I'll actually normally even pick those up before I found sirens, just in hoping that I find sirens and I don't have to double back to the shops.
Absolutely, and they're even useful, especially if you find a non-boss boss. So, the Fuble Gauntlet, as we just saw, and a Shura spot would be a very, very good use for those. If you can get a coffin off on the general before he gets his turn, the other soldiers will actually not attack, and their turn will be delayed even more.
The evil wall in Leviathan spot is not fun. Is that the Magma Key?
That was the Magma Key.
Thanks, game.
Good game. I expect
a much shorter fight here.
Oh yeah. I expect Silver and Dusty to have no issues with Plague here, especially getting a nuke off. Looks like Dusty's stream is a little on the laggy side. So hopefully we get caught up and see if Dusty makes it through or not.
Yeah, sometimes those tech issues just do happen. There's our Magus ones, so nice little pickup here.
So we've got all the good items combined between Overworld and Underworld. Then that's really great. Kind of makes the seed a little bit easier. I'm hoping to see Scratch do a tiny little bit of grinding here with some coffins and sirens.
But did we see Cure 3s?
I want to say I saw them in Feymark, but I may be wrong.
Don't necessarily need that many, but they're nice to have in the bank.
So
time for Dwarf.
We might see Dwarf here, and maybe we'll see Rosa at Dwarf Castle, or maybe Vanilla Rydia.
That would pose an interesting question to me if you would take Rydia over Tella. Although I don't have this big summon for her, she will learn her summons here, which does make her a little bit more valuable.
And we ended up seeing a Meteo on Silver's side, which made the fight even quicker than using Quake and all that.
Yeah, it's a nice high damage spell based on the HP calculation chat gave us. You could in one shot Sister with that, but if you tack a Quake on top of Meteor, you probably have it done in those two. Looks like that's going to be one of the Mylons guarding the crystal. The Z.
So a Mylon Z in this slot isn't too bad. Using Fire 3 is a pretty decent strategy. The spot isn't too damaging physically, and I don't see any issues with doing a Fire 3 since Mylon Z is weak to fire.
But I am always sad when I have Paladin Cecil against Mylon Z and I don't have a Crystal Sword.
Exactly. A good strategy for this fight would actually be to use Cure 4 since it has cast time of 0. That way you can get those Cure 4 spams off really quick versus a Fire 3 cast.
Couple levels for the party. Who's gonna try and join us?
I'm gonna say Vanilla Rydia.
Who else do we have? I'll go Kane.
Ooh, and Kainazo. In the Golbez slot. Ooh, nice call.
All right. I just went with it to be different.
and a very easy Sid ditch there by Dipwood. I personally will always take Kane over Sid.
Well, let me argue it the other way. Would it have made more sense to keep Sid and drop Cecil in this one? We don't have that big weapon for Cecil.
Honestly, I'd probably keep Cecil just due to the defensive equipment I found, and because we've already got the adamant. We're halfway to an Excalibur. So if we happen to find the Legend Sword anywhere, it's a free Excalibur, and then you're like, should I have gotten rid of Cecil? And yes, as Night Dew is pointing out, that the Pew Pew Spear really helps with Kane. His second highest weapon besides the White Spear, and I'm curious as to what Dipwood's next play is going to be, depending on what item we get.
I think the item really does tell the tale, but I'm looking at that tracker. I'm seeing the Luca key. And I'm thinking, okay, if this isn't an unlock something item, that's probably got to be the play.
I like where your mind is at right now. I do like the Luca. I do like the sealed cave play. It's long, but it does have. We can grind on some doors, and it could hold the crystal. Ooh,
Tower key.
That
changes the routing.
That to me right there is an immediately dip right up the tower.
It's like Sylverfyre is taking Kane for Palom. No Sid for Sylverfyre, so I can understand that going the 3 tanks instead of 2 black mages. You could make either way work, but I'm personally a fan of the 3 tanks and 2.5 white mages. No. 1.5 white mages.
Yeah, we'll go 1.5.
Yeah. Fasoya plus white mage is my favorite, and I'll use Tella in a pinch.
This is a good combination. So Scratch just finishing up the Kainazo fight, as well as Sylverfyre. I'm hoping to see this tower kind of pay off, and I'd also really like to see the Luca key pay off and make because Scratch is the only one that doesn't have it. That would put him quite a bit behind if the Luca key is holding something.
It does make me curious if anybody will make a contrarian play. They'll see the tower key and say, okay, I know everybody's doing that, so I'll take the Luca keys so I'm giving myself a chance.
Scratch making a very smart play. Gonna go do a quick small grind, get Kane some more levels. It'll make
Yeah.
boss fights exceptionally easier, just even having another 10 levels.
Yeah, and this early in the game, you're going to get 2, 3 at a time. So as long as you got the coffins to one-shot this will definitely pay off.
I don't think Scratch dipped Kaipo at all, did he?
Possibly not. Scratch has been a little more selective in the routing, not seeing all the shops, so just the one siren.
Alright. Scratch making the tower play as well. And Silver gonna go find their magma key. Let's see if Silver takes on any of the summon bosses.
So looks like you got Mom Bomb.
Mom Bomb shouldn't be too bad in this spot. The physical damage isn't too high. This is more of a magic attack spot. That should be a relatively quick fight.
Spot to try and kill Mom Bomb.
Oh yeah.
Every spot's an annoying spot to try and kill Mom Bomb, but that
Oh,
plus 10,000 HP.
I agree. Shouldn't be an issue with Nuke though. Scratch gonna have a little bit more issue with it since Scratch doesn't have Fusoya, but should still have no problems getting through it at all.
And just say this quickly, yes, we're aware of the technical difficulties for one of our runners. They're still running, it's just the internet being the internet, and we'll keep up as we can.
Yeah. So I'm thinking... Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Sylverfyre is coming in here a little bit later. A little powerful Tello. Will we actually see an attempt against one of these bosses?
Oh, I'm hoping so. Looks like they went back to save. Ooh, this is not going to be an easy fight. Moon Veils will help, but only so much.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Question in chat, what's the blue rope? We know by process of elimination that it's the Pebble Gauntlet because we already saw the Water Hag.
And we know that the next purple robe that we find will be the Mylon fight, since we've already fought Mylon Z at the first boss of the Dwarf Castle.
There's a couple of times where the sprite palettes will mess up the color of the robes, but generally speaking, you can tell what you're looking at from the color of the robes. So trying to do this with just Fusoya, you got Nuke. I guess you spam it, and 3 nukes might do it?
And Odin at the Dark Imp slot is quite easy. Really don't have to worry about too much at all. I think it's got roughly like, I want to say 598 HP. 597 because there's 3 of them, and I think they have 199 each. I may be a little off on that one. Did you happen to catch the item that was behind Dr. Luge? Because I happened to miss it.
I did not see one, but the fact that it went by that quick, I think it was not a key item. Or no, wait, we got the rat tail on the tracker. That must be it.
That opens up another spot that could be hiding something, such as the pass, the darkness crystal, or the crystal.
Hey, that's a good time to thank our excellent tracker Night Dew for keeping up on everything.
Yes, stellar job, Night Dew.
And I'm not entirely sure how to say this, but the tie-dye guy being our restreamer tonight, greatly appreciated.
Yes, thank you to the whole crew that does all the behind the scenes stuff that makes all these races happen. The racers, just everybody. I know it's not the end yet. I just want to throw that out there. Thank everyone.
There's the crystal, tower key item all along.
If I can count the times that the crystal has been there, I would lose track.
Here's the thing, though. We have no access to the moon yet.
That's what's making me think this rat tail may be the key to everything.
Well, I can certainly understand why you'd go ahead and check it. I mean, what item at this point wouldn't you want of these? Sand ruby? Maybe
You know,
spoon?
if it was, I don't remember who was behind Sand Ruby, but if Rosa was behind Sand Ruby, you bet I would go get Rosa, especially over Forum. And finding the pan behind the rat tail, that opens up 3 more items. All right, Cecil was the clone. That's correct. So Sand Ruby definitely wouldn't want to see here.
With pan, though, this means we're opening up right away. We'll see what the sliths give us. That is a K2 location, so it's a possible spot. Then we talk to Yang's wife. That's a second spot. Show her the pan. That's the third spot. So this is very likely to give us something.
More than likely, we're going to see the Darkness Crystal, just due to the fact the Darkness Crystal can't be on the moon, and we're slowly running out of spots to check here on the Earth or Gaia or whatever planet this happens to be.
So survey says for item 1. White shirt.
That is a very great item to find, especially if we're going to be sticking with Porum for our white mage. That will greatly increase her magic defense and magic evade, allowing for much lower rolls from Big Bang and Nuke on Zeromus.
So because of the crystal, we have the means to beat the boss. Now we need the firepower to accomplish that and a path to actually get there.
And Dusty making their way through the Mom Bomb fight should be over relatively quick. Silver, unfortunately, fighting the Fugul Gauntlet right now. Kind of on the wrong path for the crystal, but could be hiding darkness or pass.
Yeah, I'm hesitant to try and count up our locations that it could be in, but we've got these 2 fights we haven't seen. We've seen Odin, and I think after that we'd be at Luca Key.
So it looks like, judging by everything, darkness is either going to be behind the Luca Key, or darkness is going to be behind Evil Wall at Leviathan.
What a choice.
Judging by what we know from all the runners, Darkness Crystal behind Evil Wall is going to be very rough. We see Dipwood turning in the pink tail for adamant armor, which will actually make that fight a lot easier.
Now here's the flip side. With knowing those are our only 2 possibilities left, it leans towards an end game grind strategy, getting all your levels and knowing one of those is going to be the Darkness Crystal, and you just run straight to the final boss once you have it.
Yeah. We've got 10 key items. We've got sirens. We've got coffins. Dipwood making the grind play right now. I'm expecting to see a whole bunch of omelets made.
There's a couple items you can have on Cecil to manipulate the agility, or you can just take him down before he gets too high of an agility. I'd actually lean towards keeping his level lower, given that we didn't find a big weapon for him. So, depending on where he is, I might try to just keep him at the 14 agility instead of worrying about 28.
Oh yeah, I agree. But having Futsuya on the situation is can be used as a backup anchor if you happen to get Cecil a little bit too high.
And what we're talking about is Zemus will key his speed basically off of your party, so if you manage it well, you'll get more turns in versus other times where he will just turn your party into paste. And for more information about that or any other questions you have about FF4 Free Enterprise, recommend you check us out in the Discord, where there's answers to these questions and more.
Silver making the Luke key play. This could throw Silver even more off course if it happens to be the Darkness Crystal. Especially since Silver has not found the crystal yet. Silver could see Darkness Crystal go, I bet you it's on the moon. And that can really be setting people back, especially since we know exactly where the crystal is at.
Well, it could depend a lot on your routing, though. Maybe Silver looks here, finds the Darkness Crystal, and says, well, before I check the moon, I'm going to check that tower spot. And if you do that, this could be a huge benefit.
Absolutely. We got Dusty turning in the pan now, which will find their their pink tail soon, and probably go turn in their pink tail for an adamant armor as well.
And let's do note that that was Yang who hit Yang with the pan, because
yes,
that's what Dusty is doing.
That is very good. So Dipwood is making the Luca key play as well. I'm almost hoping for it to be behind Evil Wall, just to make it a little bit more challenging of a fight, because this could be something really easy, like King Queen Eblon. It would make this place much easier.
We do still have several of the lunar bosses out there, though, so if you want something hard, there's still options on the table.
Lunar bosses, all we have left is Ogopogo and D-Lunars, and we find the pass. Oh my.
That could be the best possible pickup for Sylverfyre.
I 100% agree with you on that one.
But it's also the best possible pickup for Dipwood when they get there. Okay.
Silver. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to ask if you want to explain how the script on the D-Lunars works.
Alright, so if you physically attack the D-Lunars at any time, their script is to go automatically walls up each other. Does a multicast wall, and then one does a virus. So our goal here in this fight is to actually kill one of them and physically attack the other. And what happens is, once it puts up a wall, the script looks for a virus, and if it doesn't have another one to cast virus, then it's just going to get stuck. And we kind of use that to our advantage, and just end up breaking it for the rest of the fight.
Silver had to do a reset here, but I imagine we'll be going right back to the fight. Looks like Dusty has picked up the crystal so far and is looking for the access to the moon. But let's point out, you did actually get your wish in that the Leviathan spot is guarding the Darkness Crystal. It may be a moot point, but you got your wish. Elbo's bringing Shadow to the party. Shadow don't care about anything except for ribbons and adamant armor. Round 2 for Sylverfyre versus the D-Lunars. Video is actually also a great cast here because it's holy and they're weak to that, so you're going to see max damage against both of them.
Yeah. Cure 4 would also work as well. among other things such as fire.
Dipwood's got the one dragon down.
Scratch having to go through Baron to chase that long trail item, that treasure path that will lead to the Luca key.
Dipwood is our first runner in go mode, as our tracker knight 2 points out, and I think the levels are pretty well set.
Yes.
Just HP.
I foresee Dipwood having minor issues in the Zeromus fight and making a quick rush to there. Quick checking Cecil's agility, probably gonna go grind. Probably go grind a little bit more. Low level Z fights are not the easiest thing in the world, but if you feel like you're behind, I would probably go right to Zeromus. We'll just have to see what's in the cards.
Well, this was a hook seed. You had to find the pass here. And actually at this point, the Dipwood knows the only other spot was Leviathan, so the part that would feel bad is that you did everything, but the part where you should be consoled a little bit is, there wasn't really a faster way to do this, particularly, unless you just guessed, right?
Yeah. I did notice that Dipwood went back for the cursed ring, so I'm assuming we're going to go see some more grinding here, and I foresee Dipwood throwing the cursed ring on Cecil after some more grinding.
There's that beautiful meteor damage. I mean, how many spells that are going to give you 20,000 damage?
Not a lot. So Dipwood here killing off Cecil to try and keep him at a relatively low agility. If Dipwood had a coffin, could have used it on Cecil for the quick kill, but 2 quick smacks in the face kind of knocks Cecil out.
So I guess Chad is having a little bit of discussion about the minus agility. As far as weapons go, Dwarf Axe is the most commonly known one. Drain Sword also does the same thing. It does the minus agility by the same amount. Correct. So either one of those basically let you level up Cecil 10 more times and keep his agility lower.
Yeah, exactly. You could actually do 11 more if you're a little uncomfortable. But yeah, definitely the Dwarf Axe. The Rune Axe doesn't provide any agility decrease, unfortunately.
And also the Cursed Ring that Dipwood made a specific point to go back and get will lower the agility as well as other stats, which is why it's a little bit less attractive of an option.
And I think Dipwood throwing Fusuya in the middle, I believe it's probably only just for the grind. I would hope to see Kane or Yang thrown in the middle slot to get that middle slot boost and the damage boost as well.
That could be because I think with Kane's weapon on a back attack, he'd one-shot the egg, so that's probably the setup for this.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point too.
Thanks, I only thought of it on the fly. I'm more impressed that Dipwood came up with it.
Oh yeah.
I'm just appreciating what I'm seeing.
So it looks like Dip is gonna probably do 1 or 2 more, and then I'm seeing the equipment all ready to go. I expect to see Zeromus fight here in the next couple minutes.
Then we get to find out what boss we're facing this time. Now, at the end of the chassis, the script of the fight is always the Zeromus fight. But that Z flag at the end of the chain means we will see a different sprite, and it has just become one of the most hyped things about any Free Enterprise race. We're always excited to see what the boss is going to be.
Yeah, there are I want to say 250 different Zeromus sprites that you can actually get. Some of them are amusing. Some of them are like generally just awesome all around. I've seen a couple honestly terrifying ones. It's always amazing to see what the great people who make this game have come up with.
Board Face started the trend with that and gave us some great early fun ones, and then Scala Kitty has come in and added so many more.
Shout out to
It's
Scala
so
Kitty, who does so much for the free enterprise community. A whole bunch of it's behind the scenes. So if you see Scala Kitty anywhere, just send her some love.
Yeah, this tracker that we're using here on Randomania was built by Randomania. I mentioned earlier, Scala Kitty did the graphics for it. That just started from one day in the Discord. I knew we were setting up for a debut of Free Enterprise on Randomania. I asked if anybody could help with graphics for a tracker, and Scala Kitty just jumped up and said, "I'll do it." So this is the terrific result we got.
So I'm hoping I get to see the Darkness Crystal here on Silver's side. Bad news is that's not an easy fight to get through.
Well, it would kind of be bad news possibly for Sylverfyre to get through that fight. Because then, with no one done, it's leading you towards the moon.
It's a very good point. But I wouldn't expect Silver to pass up the tower key, even if finding the Darkness Crystal. Cecil.
Interesting setup of a strategy.
That's actually a really good strategy. If Silver could have gotten a Moon Veil off on Cecil, Cecil would have blocked everybody since they're critical. And since him having the Moon Veil on, that would actually basically just make Cecil blocking everybody being immune, and then everybody else can just kind of put out damage against Evil Wall. It's a really good strategy.
Yeah, now it looks like Sylverfyre is shuffling equipment to get the agility to try and get Cecil's turn up first.
And I just want to point out, Invenerable, it is the Darkness Crystal that is behind the Evil Wall. I just would like to, I want to see it. I always love seeing people beat Leviathan because it's just such a tough spot physically, and especially if you get a physical demanding boss like Evil Wall, then you end up in the situation. All right.
I mentioned a couple of times that we never found the big weapon for Cecil, but we never found White Spear for Kane. We never found Cat Claws for Yang either. So our melee damage is going to be down a little bit again.
We found a singular Cat Claw in the Tower of Zot, or Tower of Babel.
Okay, I saw a Charm Claw pick up, so a Charm and a Cat Claw would be terrible.
Charm Cat Claw isn't too bad. The only downside to having a Charm Claw is that it does reduce your accuracy a little bit, which is going to in turn reduce your damage, since your damage output is based on your accuracy and how many hits you can get off.
Looks like Dusty is having a little bit of trouble hitting Cecil.
What you saw on Silver's side actually was what happened was Yang took a hit to the face. What happened is if you ever parry with Cecil, it automatically cancels his auto cover and his regular cover. So that is definitely one thing that you don't want to do, is parry if you're using a strategy of having Cecil guard everyone.
Of course, the Black or not Black Tower. Is it Black Tower? Yeah, it's Black Tower and Rust Tyro, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Trying to keep that in straight. Anyways, Chrono Trigger, yay.
Definitely a great sprite. One I've seen quite a few times, but still a great sprite.
Indeed.
So damage output looks pretty decent here. We see Dipwood just kind of chilling on Porum's turn, waiting for the Big Bang to go, and then tossing a quick Cure 4. That's usually the strategy. You usually want 2 or 3 people berserked doing some physical damage, and then you want to chill on your White Mage for just for that quick cure as soon as Big Bang goes off.
Yeah, one downside, Porum's HP a little low here, only 17, so you're not taking a full power Big Bang there, and the Soya only at 2000 HP. Again, full power Big Bang could be a problem.
Oh yeah, and especially if Dipwood tries to nerf a Big Bang here, and we get a poorly targeted nuke. Because every time you cast, not any spell, but most spells that you cast on Zeromus triggers a nuke counter. Doing that and getting Porum or Fusuya hit with the nuke counter will be quite devastating. And on Silver's side, the evil wall is in crush mode, making this fight almost over, unfortunately, for Silver. Hopefully they can get enough damage out, but it's not looking too hot.
Like the use of the Cure 3 on Dipwood's side. Doesn't cost the magic points that Cure 4 does, so it's, especially with the Soya, it helps ration the MP the less Cure 4s you have to cast.
And Dusty heading to Zeromus as well. Should be a really close finish. As long as nothing too crazy happens, I see Dipwood completing this fight fully. Could have something go wrong, but I don't see it happening with Fusuya and a Porum.
Black Hole, which will take out the Berserks. The locked-in attack like Kane had will still hit, but not with the Berserk bonus damage.
And Silver still trying to push through the crush phase. Oh, that's rough. Just tried to get a nuke cast, and then Fusuya gets crushed by the evil wall. That is not good. But getting everybody back up, it's definitely key to trying to survive this fight.
You mentioned the counter nukes, and of course doing nuke is the most common strat because you're also putting in a big chunk of damage against Zeromus in this fight, but I think it's worth noting that slow will also trigger the nerf and counterattack, which also
Correct.
has the valuable effect of actually slowing down the boss a little bit.
And there's our Darkness Crystal. Silver made it through the evil wall. That's good. ScratchDragon going evil wall as well.
Can I just point out that means that on the entire moon, including Bahamut and all the subterranean, the only items there are package and legend sword.
That's a very fun fact. Yeah.
I mean, how horrible would that be? You do all that work, that's what you come out with.
Oh yeah, that could have been very bad had Silver not decided to go up tower here. Ooh. Uh-oh.
We just want to see things go good for all the runners.
Yeah, you never want to see any runner struggle or get sent the wrong way down a rabbit hole. That is the worst feeling to actually see happen. And it looks like Silver may be going moon here, which it hurts my soul a little bit.
Now, ScratchDragon just found the Darkness Crystal instead of the pass.
So Scratch gonna have to do a little bit of a walk here.
That still sets up ScratchDragon a little better than Sylverfyre, because Sylverfyre will have to go back for the crystal, whereas it's just a long walk for Scratch.
Yeah, hopefully Silver is just getting the whale ready in case the crystal is not in the tower. I'm hoping that's what we're seeing. But at this point in the game, when you have the crystal, like you have the crystal and you have the pass and you're in the Zeromus fight and you haven't seen anybody finish it, your heart's pounding. You're just like, oh my gosh, am I gonna win? Is somebody gonna come out of nowhere and snipe me? It really gets your blood pumping, and it can cause you to mess up a little bit. So, but I don't want to see it happen, but I do want to point out that people can make mistakes in fights and stuff.
Well, speaking of using slow, of course, that's what the silk webs will do, so that's what Dip would set up for. Medio phase.
Medio phase is generally a good sign that you are about through the fight. It is Zeromus' third phase, and generally means, hey, I'm through. I could be winning here.
Here comes Nuke. This should be plenty. And GG.
GG to Dipwood.
Found chat. Way to go, Dipwood.
Played that very well. And Silver on the moon, unfortunately, is Silver going to continue to the underground or to the lunar subterrane, or will Silver see the dot done and maybe go back and do the tower? And it looks like we have Edge on the moon. At this point, you're leveled. You're just gonna get rid of Edge. There's no point in grabbing Edge at all.
He would catch up best, but Dipwood joins us now. GG.
Yes, GG.
I can't believe I'm first. I thought more people would have found Pass by now, or Darkness. I was expecting Darkness to be in like Summon Town or something.
Dusty is in the fight. You definitely got there first. You were the first to find the pass.
Yeah, I figured like if it's in Summon Town, I'm probably in danger. So I thought I'd just follow the key item chain and try to gamble.
Would you like to guess where it was?
The Darkness Crystal?
Yes.
Let's say Leviathan spot?
Very good guess. That's exactly where it was at.
What was there?
The Darkness Crystal.
No, I mean the
Evil
monster.
Wall.
Oh, Evil Wall, yeah. Okay, sorry.
Oh, okay.
You played that seed extremely well. How do you feel about your performance?
Probably the best I've played yet, to be honest.
Was there anything you did tonight that maybe you did for the first time?
I'd say this was a pretty standard run. I decided to, even though like as soon as I got Fu and I killed 2 Ordeals bosses, he got Quake followed by Noob. Like at that point you can just go downstairs if you wanted. But I decided to clear out the rest of the overworld, hoping for some sort of key item chain that would lead me to like pass or crystal. Because with these sort of flags, you don't necessarily need to like go downstairs as fast as possible and play the odds. Because if you do the entire overworld and you still don't have both key items you need, then there's a chance that one of the chains you're doing might lead to it.
It was an interesting mix of early bosses. Golbez, Wyvern, Asura.
I'm actually curious, did anyone else do Baron before anything else? With Baron Castle? That's where I got Fu, and that made the rest of it pretty simple.
You were the first one to actually do Baron itself, and then I believe it was Dustygriff, and then Silver followed suit. ScratchDragon actually didn't do it until they went underground and then came back up.
Yeah, that was it, man. Like getting Fu at Baron gave me such a leg up. I think that's the reason I got this.
Well, any other thoughts on this one, Dipwood?
Nope. I was terrified of ScratchDragon after he won a race just like 10 minutes before this one started. But yeah, GG's.
All right, well, thank you for spending some time with us. GG, great show, and good luck with the rest of the league.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us. Very, very good run, and I can't wait to see more from you.
And now we have Dusty joining us. GG.
Hey, what's going on, guys? GG's.
All right, how hard was your heart pounding going into that fight?
Pretty hard. That was pretty wild of a seed, if not only for the fact that my internet cut out halfway through and I was trying to troubleshoot it while playing with one hand on the controller, one hand on the mouse. Sorry, a bit of a cough going on. But yeah, so I think around the time when I was going down to through Eblon, my internet started getting shaky. My stream cut out a couple times, so I had to just straight up like restart my router and stuff while I was still trying to play at the same time. So pretty hectic.
One of the key decisions for this seed had to be looking for your path to Zaramos, either with the Luca key or squeezing out that Leviathan fight. So talk to us about your decision making there.
Well, I was kind of like, I'll dip Luca real quick and see what's there, and then I was kind of so flustered from the whole thing of trying to get my internet working that I actually saved in Luca and overwrote. I couldn't just dip it. I was committed then, so I was like, well, I really hope it's something at this point then, because I'm kind of screwed at this point if it's not the pass or darkness crystal. But I lucked out a bit there. I was just going to check it and reset, but then I saved it. I figured I kind of thought the fights at Summon Monsters would take a little bit of time. Obviously Gauntlet was one of them, and Evil Wall was the other, which at the Leviathan spot has, 37,000 HP, I think, which is pretty line to done.
Yeah, I think you played really well. What do you feel was a good breaking point for you in the seed? Or did you ever feel like you had a breaking point where you were like, okay, I'm comfortable enough where I can just go knock out some bosses?
It's funny because I thought I would have that point in the seed, and that's typically... I kind of run my seeds. It's funny that the seed worked out the way it did, in that you didn't have to clear the full overworld, but it was there for you if you wanted it. And that kind of works in my favor because I kind of like doing that because it makes, if you have to go through Eblon, which we had to this time, as far as I know. Oh yes, we did, because Magnus does it. But yeah, it makes that easier. Makes it so that you don't get hung up at a boss there. So it was just kind of a pretty smooth seed. I kind of thought, I was kind of fingers crossed because I checked Baron immediately after I did it to see who was in the Odin spot, and I find a lot of people just don't do that immediately, and a lot of times it's a free fight. So I was like, oh, this could be good. It was Kalkrena, and I said, oh, wicked, I really hope this is a good key item. Of course, it kind of like fell flat, but that's the gamble.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We appreciated the gamble, though. We were discussing at least doing the check.
Yeah. I was pleasantly surprised when it was Kalkrena. You probably saw me go first in there and look through my whole inventory, be like, oh, there's no hourglasses in here. I hope I can just deal enough damage to not to prompt it to happen. But
The good thing about dolls is usually you kill off the other ones. If there happens to be one or two of the same color left, they usually get one or two more turns before they actually transform.
Right.
So if you can get something quick off, then usually knocks them out.
Yeah, for sure.
So we had fun with the idea that in this seed, in the entirety of the moon, all it could have had was the package and the legend sword.
Oh, yeah. Wow. I guess.
Any other thoughts on this one, Dusty?
It was a pretty standard feed. I'm guessing Spoon was at one of the summon monsters.
I think it was the Asura spot.
Oh.
Yeah, it was the Ashura spot.
I'm pretty happy with that. This one went. Are the other folks going the dark or the moon hunt now, or are they also uncertain?
Well, unfortunately, Sylverfyre's gone in the wrong direction, but ScratchDragon has just finished in 3rd place with a time of 1:43.
Oh, great, GG's.
All right. Well, thank you, Dusty. Thanks for a good show, and good luck to you the rest of the way.
No, thanks so much, guys, and thanks for commentating, and GG's to the other racers.
So it's looking like Silver's trying to get the grind out of the way now, because they feel comfortable. I'm hoping Silver makes the play back to the tower before going to the moon, but we may see different.
And while we have a little pause here, let's again say thank you to Randomania for hosting us tonight. They've done a lot for Free Enterprise. It is appreciated. Thank you to all of you who have spent your evening with us. And, we're going to get ScratchDragon in here. Unfortunately, Sylverfyre has decided not to continue.
Unfortunately, it can be a little rough situation to be in, especially if you do see that you have all of the moon left. It can be intimidating, and you may not want to hold up the stream. Unfortunately, a forfeit is never something that we want to see. But some circumstances can't stop it.
All right, now we do have ScratchDragon stopping in, so GG ScratchDragon.
GG's, guys.
GG, very well played. How do you feel?
I played myself. I forgot to do Miss Dragon, then I went and checked Miss Dragon, and it took me to Baron, and I didn't need to go there.
It did give you food, so at least there was something there.
I would have done without the food. If I would have gotten food early, I would have felt better about it. But food was just like, it was the win more. Like, I was gonna finish. Yeah, I had a really good setup, and I didn't really need food, but he sealed the deal. But unfortunately, that cost me the time I really didn't want to spend on it. He would have been nice for the Magus Sisters.
Yeah, unfortunately, not turning in Miss Dragon kind of hindered you a little bit early game, but late game, I feel you executed pretty well for the crew that you had.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not unhappy with the way the run turned out, but it's all like, I look at my tracker and then I realize, wait, Miss Dragon's here. Did I pick that up? And then I kind of just fell apart from there. I figured at that point I was pretty far behind because these guys probably picked up Miss Dragon and got Fu, and the Odin spot was ridiculously easy. So
you were faced with two choices, and you chose to go summon monsters instead of the Luca key. I'm sorry, you never got the Luca key, did you?
I never got the Luca key.
Yeah, you didn't do the Twin Harp access.
Yeah, no. At that point, doing Twin Harp, like, the way I figure it is, if you have an option between Twin Harp and going through Eblin, it's better just to go through Eblin anyway. If Twin Harp's your last item, unless it's going to take you to, say, the moon, or, I mean, even if it takes you to the moon, you need some kind of grind or level or have a party, and I didn't have the party to go to the moon, so.
Well, you went a long way to get there, but you got there. However, the Luca key was the pass.
Was it really?
It
Man.
was.
That's alright, though.
So for you and Sylverfyre, you both found the Darkness Crystal. Dipwood and Dusty both got the pass. Sylverfyre has, by the way, decided to finish out playing the seed, but not going to record the time since they now know where the crystal is.
Ah.
Yeah, this one was a bit of a, I'm not going to say a rough one. The early game, if you got food, was alright, but I mean, it was a test of patience against some of these bosses.
quite the lineup it was. Anything else about this one stand out for you?
I hate Wyvern.
Fair enough.
I'm glad I didn't see Valvalis, and Gomez can go fall in a well.
Very, very good. I love your opinions.
I mean, oh, excuse me. Not a well. We throw keys down a well. Gomez can go fall into a ravine.
Well, he can hold the key. Well, anyways. So how about this? You did double duty tonight. What about that?
I mean, I was on a racer's high for this one. I was feeling really good seeing that I won my first one tonight. But I mean, I'm still pretty glad just to get the 2 points for this one as well. I'm feeling pretty good going into my next 2 matches as well. So, I mean, it's looking pretty good so far, to be honest.
All right. Well, thank you for a great show tonight, and we wish you good luck going forward with the rest of the league.
Hey, thanks for having me. Thanks for recording. And everyone should play Free Enterprise. They should. If you're not playing Free Enterprise, then shame on you. All right. Have a good night, guys.
You too.
Good night. Thanks for joining us. So this will not be a long rest of the game for Sylverfyre. Now with the crystal armed with plenty of levels, there's no reason to be the top of the tower.
Especially with Edge being at level 74, I think it was. I don't think Zroma should be an afterthought.
I think we have a ninja sword. I'm not sure if we had a second.
I think I saw 2 ninja sword pickups throughout the whole time. I know there was one in Damstian. I think I saw one in Outlion too, I want to say.
I would be curious to see if Silver can get the rare Phase 1 kill of Mom Bomb.
In this spot, I don't see it being an issue at all. Especially with the levels that they're at.
One for the Berserk strats. No reason not to.
I do enjoy how Silver has Edge in the middle with all of the agility.
Who needs agility and manipulation when you got a little 74 Edge? May or may not be wearing adamant armor. I guess not. No pink tail yet. So this was an interesting one. There was a lot of overlap in the routing throughout. The choices were almost subtle, but boy did they make a difference in the end.
Yeah, it didn't seem like there were too many major choices. Like, it wasn't here, go underground or go to the moon. It wasn't that. It was here, go Twin Harp or go Baron, or something like something simple, kind of like that. It's like it's all going to kind of wind up around the same time because they take close to the same amount of time.
Yeah, even if it wasn't immediately obvious at the time, I guess it was a choice between taking the hook versus the Twin Harp, and the Twin Harp paid dividends with the pass. We saw what a difference that made, having it versus not having it. That's just a long walk, even if you're not doing any of the fights.
Yeah. I think the walk takes, with transitions and everything, if you go from Mysidia to the to right before you fight Zeromus, I think it takes roughly like 2.5 minutes, I want to say. So it's definitely a decent walk. So here we'll see Silver pick up the crystal and go take that nice walk all the way through the Winged Subterrane. Oh, that's right. Silver didn't get the Silver got the pass as well. That's right. So we won't see the lunar subterranean, unfortunately. But I do want to take the time to say thank you to Randomania for having us. Thank you to Trenton for being my co-commentator. I still trying to get used to the whole commentating thing, so I do want to apologize for the little cutoffs here and there. Thank you to everyone watching. You all definitely make all of this happen. To the crew behind the scenes for Free Enterprise that do all of the hard work that we don't see, and to the runners, because we wouldn't have this tournament without them.
And Night Dew did a great job tracking for us tonight. Very appreciated.
Yes, can't forget Night Dew. Night Dew, thank you as well.
And Couch, it's been a lot of fun working with you.
Yeah, it's been a blast.
Levels are just fantastic here from that D machine grind.
That 3 times level bonus really paid off for Edge there. I think I saw like 1.2 million experience, and then you go ahead and multiply that 3 times, and you get a really high leveled Edge.
Alright, so we're gonna stick this out and see the end of the fight with the Sylverfyre here versus Ramos puts Porum in the middle.
Ooh. Honestly, it really shouldn't matter too much, but I mean, maybe a high-powered Big Bang will kind of throw off the fight maybe a little bit, but I don't see it being too big of an issue.
2100 HP for Fu. I think you'd be alright even with a full power Big Bang. Or most of them. I guess you can still have RNG just tick over that. What we just saw there with Edge not being able to hit is something worthy of note. If you target Zemus too soon, an attack will not land. That includes spells as well. So basically the transformation process has to end. My cue on that is usually the name change.
Yeah, and even then, like right at the name change, I usually kind of hesitate a little bit because I've still gotten the issue where you'll still get a miss even right after the name change. It's a really interesting timing.
Yeah, but you could still safely do something like use a Bacchus Wine.
Oh,
But
definitely.
If, for example, you wanted to use a Silk Web to go ahead and get a speed nerf in, you don't want to do that too soon or it's not going to count.
So I see this being a really, really, really quick fight, especially for bouncing all these spells. I think Silver's already put up like 30,000 damage. I think that may have been just a phase shift there even. It may be... Go ahead. Sorry.
Don't look at reflect strats, so less healing.
Yeah, less healing, but I really don't see that being too big of an issue. The fight should be over relatively quick. The number output, just the damage output from Edge, even in the back row, is just completely crazy.
I didn't see it, but Sylverfyre probably did a back row glitch.
Yeah, with I saw the full moon being equipped on and then removed, and the full moon being a back row attack weapon that doesn't reduce your damage. That kind of puts a character into a glitched out state. That adds base, and it lasts throughout the whole game, so you never have to reapply it. So anytime you equip a weapon that does equal damage from the back row as the front row, it kind of locks a setting into the game where they'll constantly do the same damage from the back row as they would the front row. Weapons like that, full moon, Dorfax, bow and arrow. There's really anything that does the same amount of damage from the back row.
Sylverfyre saying healing? I don't need no stinking healing. I'll just take this boss out.
And super quick boss fight through silver. GG again. Fortunately, had the forfeit the forfeit there.
Okay, faster than I could type the message out. GG, Silver. Finished it out. Can't hear you yet.
Right, I had my
Okay,
mic
faster
on
than
mute.
I could type the message out.
Okay,
GG,
there we
Silver.
go.
Finished it out.
I am not happy how I played. I executed really poorly just about everywhere that there was to execute poorly. I didn't make good decisions. I played to lose, basically. I don't have anything better to say.
I think really
But
the
at least
key
my
moment-
Zeramis fight was cool.
The key moment had to be you landed in front of the tower even, but didn't go up.
You know what? I was like, you know what? I have the Darkness Crystal, and I already feel really behind. If the crystal isn't on the moon, I've already lost this race.
That
I
is
knew
a
that-
very fair point.
I knew that, like, I got past a stupidly hard boss at Leviathan and got the Darkness Crystal out of it. So my only chance of having a decent placement was that was the blocker for the crystal as well.
Let's we wrap this up. Any other final thoughts you want to share?
I don't know. Don't suck. I have a 19-minute gap between my in-game time and my real time because that's how many times I wiped. I just wiped on like everything that was there to be wiped on. Yeah.
Well, you still got more chances at this, so good luck to you the rest of the way.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
luck
have
on
no
that.
one to blame for but myself, and yeah.
Well, up next, we're going to be hosting Randomania 2, which currently has Dragon Warrior Randomizer going. They have a tournament match going on there, so hope you'll show some love over there if you want to see what other games can be randomized. That is an interesting one. In fact, is that a J. Coper race? Yeah, it is a J. Coper race, so got that aspect too. Thank you everybody for spending your evening with us. Hope everybody has a great night.